Hello, this is a presentation on time management strategies for students. My name is Lori Fox from CIT, and the presentation was designed for our Geneseo Points of Support guides. Here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about goals and deadlines, productivity methods. I'm going to give some hints on how to defeat procrastination, and something I like to call my productive day. First, I'd like to share with you my definition of time management. Time management is using tools, skills, and techniques related to accomplishing specific tasks and goals. We're going to look at time management as it applies to school, assignments and goals, and personal activities. Quite frequently, I use time management and productivity somewhat interchangeably, so be prepared for that too. Goals and deadlines are the foundations of any time management system. There are a variety of goals in each of our lives, from the routine of brushing our teeth every day to a complex project. Larger goals are frequently broken down into smaller tasks or objectives to ensure progress toward the final product. Realistic goals and objectives ensure success and a sense of accomplishment. Deadlines should be established, yet somewhat flexible. Emergencies and difficulties can disrupt our days, and a flexible deadline will provide an opportunity to succeed by completing the objective in a different way. Next, I want to talk a bit about the tools of time management. I have 4 productivity tools that I rely on: a to-do list, my calendar, a collection of contacts, and notes. It's important to keep your tools in check. I use 1 tool per item. I have defined my tools and I use them every day. And I'm careful to resist the shiny new tool for things that I know work for me. The items on my to-do list are all items that require immediate action. I break down large goals into smaller chunks and keep track of things together that are part of one project or goal. I also have a list of things that I'm working on with someone else, items scheduled for a future date, and items that probably aren't going to get done at all. When I manage my to-do list, I try to stay in the present. Is it important? Is it timely? And is it actionable? Maintaining one consolidated calendar for all aspects of your life helps to prevent your work life from overrunning your personal life and ensures that all aspects of your life are kept in balance. When I first read about combining my obligations into one calendar in the book Time Management for System Administrators, I was skeptical. My perception was that by keeping my personal and professional items separate, I would be better able to maintain the balance I craved. I decided to try this philosophy for 3 months, and I've utilized this method ever since. One calendar helps me quickly see work and personal appointments and ensures that I do not compromise my time by overcommitting. In my calendar, I'm sure that I record everything: appointments and meetings, project milestones, and future to-do items. As I said, I use one consolidated calendar so I can look at all aspects of my life in one place, and I review my calendar daily. This semester, I'm teaching a course on productivity tools. And one of the things that I introduce to my students, and I'm requiring them to do each week, is what I call a weekly review. A weekly review is vital to ensure you are prepared for the upcoming week and beyond. A weekly review can be done on Friday, Sunday, or even very early Monday morning. These are the items that we look at for our weekly review and planning session. The first item is a calendar. Get ahead of your calendar before the week starts. Don't just look at today, but tomorrow as well, and the rest of the week and next week too. Reviewing your calendar prevents surprises, avoids conflicts, and gives you time to react. To-do list. Keep these tasks front and center. Visibility leads to action. If you don't look at your to-do list, it can't remind you of what you need to do. A someday list. Sometimes I call this my dream list. Always take a quick look at your someday list. Doing just one thing on your someday list is important to your progress. Otherwise, your someday list may become a never list. Notes. Notes are often overlooked. You went to the effort to take them, but do you ever look at them again? Make sure you review your notes from the previous day to capture to-dos, reference material, and follow-up items. Inbox. Save this one for last. I have a great quote from Chris Brogan. Your inbox is a perfect delivery mechanism for other people's priorities. Get your own stuff in order before jumping into your inbox. That being said, starting the week with your inbox at 0 is an extremely motivating tactic. It also gets you a step ahead of the others. So each week in my course, I ask my students to answer the following questions. Share your weekly review checklist. What order did you do things? Tell me something on your calendar that you are looking forward to this week. Tell me something on your calendar that you are not looking forward to. What 1 to 2 steps are you taking this week to achieve your goals? What is your highest priority task for the upcoming week? And how many messages are in your inbox? I want to share with you some productivity methods. Spending your time on the right tasks is just as important as keeping track of them and making sure that you're working. I asked my students at the start of the class to select one of these productivity methods to use for the duration of our course. These are the ones they most frequently selected. The first one's personal Kanban. It helps visualize your project progress. You can use sticky notes or a whiteboard, so this is real good for visual people. You divide your projects into 3 categories: to do, doing, and done. This helps you focus on completing projects that are in progress before starting new ones. Many of my students selected Eat the Frog. Eat the Frog means that you do the worst thing first. It helps avoid procrastination, and it requires you to schedule your daily tasks from the hardest to the easiest. Time blocking. As our students transitioned to learning from home, they found that if they did not have a daily plan, they kind of drifted through the day. So some of them are using time blocking to keep themselves accountable to a schedule. You also can do day theming, where perhaps you work on a different course each day, but a lot of that depends on your deadlines. Getting things done is the most famous productivity method, and it's based on a book of the same name. This is the method that I primarily use personally. It helps you organize all of your loose ends. It has 5 basic states. The first one is to capture, and you're capturing all the stuff that comes to you in your inbox, whether it's your email inbox or phone calls or notes from meetings, whatever. So you're going to capture everything. Then you clarify it, you organize it, and you reflect. What is the next action? And here's where this small phrase is something that I use frequently. Do it, delegate it, defer it, delete it. Do, delegate, defer, delete, and then engage. If it's something that takes less than 2 minutes, I do it. If it has to be done on a specific day, I schedule it. This is a fantastic way to organize all of the things you have to do. For my to-do list, I use an app called Todoist. One of the reasons that I like it is it can be used across many different platforms. The creators of Todoist made another productivity method called Systemus, and I think of it as a light version of getting things done. The basic premise here is that you've got to keep track of everything you need to do. So the main principles are take it everywhere, capture everything, break it into small tasks, get to-do list 0 every day. That doesn't mean that you get everything done today. It means at the end of the day, you take a little bit of time to see what you didn't get done and decide when are you going to do it. To-do-list also gives you feedback. You get statistics on how many tasks you completed, and you can earn something they call karma. Pomodoro, or sprints, helps maintain focus by breaking your work into short bursts. Several students are trying this method as well. The premise is that you work for a specific period of time, 25 minutes, and then you take a break for 5 minutes. Work for 25, check Twitter for 5. And after a few cycles of that, you take a longer break. Lastly, when I'm prioritizing a lot of items, I often use the Eisenhower method. This is a tried and true method to determine are tasks important or unimportant and urgent or not urgent. I don't live in a world where I can only do things I want to do. Many of us go through life with an array of undone tasks, large and small, nibbling at our conscience. Procrastination ranges from an inconvenience to a hindrance to disabling. So let's look at why do we procrastinate? And there are several reasons. Procrastination is closely linked with perfectionism. At least that's what I tell myself. So here are some reasons you might find that students procrastinate. Procrastination comes naturally. They sidestep uncomfortable tasks. They find ways to extend deadlines and explain delays. They put off hard decisions. They believe they can perform better under pressure. I've got a deadline. I have a paper to write. I can crank that thing out tonight before it's due tomorrow morning. Their emotions affect what they do. They avoid what frustrates them, and they get sidetracked. On the website 43 Folders, productive person Merlin Mann says the worst case of procrastination can be remedied with what he calls a dash, or a short burst of focused activity. Say cleaning your closet has languished untouched on your to-do list for months. Over time, the dreaded task has grown larger and more horrifying in your mind. Here's what to do. Break out a kitchen timer, set it to 8 minutes, and dive into the closet. When the timer sounds, stop. 8 minutes is doable, right? By making even the most modest bit of progress on your hated task, you've done what once seemed impossible. You got started. When you realize how much of the anxiety you'd experienced was created in your head, you'll experience huge relief and give yourself the jolt needed to get back on track. You can do a dash anytime and for virtually any kind of project. The first key is to remove distractions. Next is to set deadlines and define your next action. And we're going to develop these dash habits. There are 2 types of dash. The first one is timed. Most jobs lend themselves to a time-based dash, so pick up a timer, choose an amount of time that gives you enough room to do something, but that's brief enough to seem completely unintimidating. For some reason, 8 minutes works well for most of my own dashes. Alternatively, depending on the tasks you've been avoiding, you could go with a unit-based dash, during which you agree to plow through an arbitrary number of pieces associated with your project. In many cases, the best solution is a combination in which you get to stop the hated work whether you reach the time or unit goal first. So for example, you've got a messy garage. Your goal is 10 minutes or one full garbage bag. Spend 10 minutes working in one area of the garage, take out old papers, break down some boxes, or move the Christmas ornaments to the top shelf. When the timer buzzes, stop. Overdue report. Goal, 10 minutes or 100 words. Just start writing even if it's complete crap. Just keep scribbling for 10 minutes or until you have a paragraph or two. When the time's up, stop. I'd like to share with you some tips for a productive day. Let's talk about my messy desk. I want to be clear, this is not my desk. If you've got a particularly cluttered space on your hands, you need to start with an honest evaluation of everything in your office. Sure, everything in your office has some sort of purpose, but unless you need it to get your work done on a daily basis, it probably doesn't belong there. Once you get rid of all the things you might use and keep only the things you do, you'll find keeping your workspace organized much less of a chore. Spend time straightening up every day. But don't spend so much time organizing that you're not working. Get to good enough. Reclaiming your desk from the clutter will also increase productivity. Sort papers and notes into 3 piles. Work to be completed today, pending work that will be done within a week, and work that can be filed or thrown away. Remember to empty your pending tray at least weekly so that work can be reprioritized. Each Friday, I dedicate the last hour of my workday to reorganizing my desk. This habit ensures that every note and paper gets touched and acted upon at least once a week, and I'm able to catch things that I forgot about because they were buried on my desk. I'm also able to toss those items I no longer need. It's important to establish a plan. Here are all the things you could do if you got up early. And believe me, many of my students are struggling at home to get out of bed before noon. The early bird can work out, read, think, catch up, make a plan, prepare for your day, relax, and get a head start. It's important to reduce distractions while you're trying to be productive. For email, you could turn off or lengthen automatic email notifications. Set a timer to put away social media and news sites. Turn off pop-up notifications so they don't catch your eye. Think about how your office or room is set up. Are you looking out the door? Do other people catch your eye? Or maybe you're distracted by something outside. A timer allows you to take a task and essentially cage it. Instead of looking at prepare the final report as a nebulous and potentially day-consuming task, a timer lets you create a scheduled cage for that task. Whether you opt to set aside 2 45-minute blocks that day to work on it, or a half a dozen 30-minute blocks over the course of a week, using a timer helps you quarantine tasks so they don't leak over into other important work and personal duties. Even if it's a task you have to spend all day on, if that's what's required, a timer helps you get a firmer grasp on how long it's taking and will potentially take. Using a timer forces you to commit to a task at hand. You consciously set the timer and say, I'm going to work on this task for 20 minutes. Even if it's a task you don't enjoy, you're more likely to stick with it because you've set a limit on how much that joyless task can torture you today. When you set a timer for a task and dig into it with 100% commitment, you get a chance to see how much can really be done on that task in that block of time. Using a timer shows you what you're capable of, and it hones your ability to give realistic estimates of time. If you let your work expand to fill all available space in every day, you really have no idea how long anything takes to get done. All you know is that it takes all day, and there will be more when you come back tomorrow. Using a timer will give you a more accurate perception of the time and commitment tasks take. Not only that, but the time estimates you give other people will become more accurate, and they will view you as a more honest and reliable person because of your promise. You'll have it by the end of the day is really a promise to get it to them by the end of the day. Timers give you a chance to commit to that task, work your tail off on that task, and then take a break that you earned. Using timers disrupts the cycle of goofing off and avoiding work, then rushing through projects to get them done and avoid the wrath of your boss. One other thing that I like to do each day is to think about the 1-3-5 rule. Assume that on any given day, you can only accomplish one big thing, 3 medium things, and 5 little things. Force yourself to choose what that one big thing is every day, and leave some blanks to be ready for the unexpected. Here's some more guidance for how to get your top to-do list item done today. Name it. Do it first. Eat the frog. Carry it with you. Make an appointment with yourself. Schedule something on your calendar. Avoid interruptions and distractions. Get help if you need it. And whatever you do, don't put off that task until tomorrow. It's important to keep your sanity even on a crazy day. Don't get thrown by the day where a sudden crisis at school or home causes the task list to be thrown out the window. One way to still feel accomplished on a busy day is to add the urgent items or crisis to your list and cross them off right away. As you reflect on the day, you'll discover that you still were productive, just not in the way you originally planned. When we let go of some things, others automatically come into clearer focus. When I'm reading email at home and helping with my daughter's homework, I'm not focusing well on either task. Try to work on one item at a time. It takes time for a new time management technique to develop into a habit. Consider making 1 or 2 small changes at a time for even something that seems so small, such as where you store your keys each night, will have a big impact on your productivity. Remember that any improvement is a step in the right direction. All accomplishments, even small ones, should be celebrated, and accept a good enough solution. Here are the resources I used in my presentation. The first 3 are websites that I frequently visit. The next 2 items are books that I recommend. The Todoist app is my to-do list app, and I cannot recommend it enough. It's available for every digital platform. And lastly is a blog post about personal productivity methods that will give you more information about each of the methods I mentioned earlier in my presentation. Would you like to talk more about productivity? Here's my contact information. Feel free to email me anytime. I love to talk about time management and productivity. If you want to give Todoist a try, this link will give you 2 free months of Todoist Premium. It's hard to tell with the underline, but the last part of that URL is Lori_Fox_LBHGST. Now go be productive.